Hello everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday Night Live. I'm Teresa Harper, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Oregon in the U.S. All right. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and a good Monday. All right, we don't need to hear myself. So let's see who's on. Go ahead and say hello and let me know you're here. And we have 3 projects tonight if we have time. So we're going to wait just a half a minute or so, see who jumps on. Hello, Cher. Happy Tuesday. Let's see who else is here. Cynthia, hello. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. All right. Tonight we are going to be we have 2 cards and a 3D project if we can get to all of them. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the Sweets and Treats. It's in the Holiday Mini. And I'm sorry, I can't tell you what page it's on. I don't have that information handy. But I loved this little set. And I love that you can use it for all occasions. You've got an apple pie that you can use for Thanksgiving or whenever. Maybe Pie Day in March. And then you have a candy or caramel apple that you can use for fall or Halloween. You have the figgy pudding for Christmas. Of course, the cupcake and the heart cookie can be used for birthdays or any time of the year. So let's go ahead and get on our first project. And this is going to be a birthday card. Okay. Oh, that's good. I forgot to cut the piece of Misty Moonlight right away. We need a card base in Misty Moonlight. Oh, let me grab that. Okay, so when I make card bases, take my trimmer, and I like to have mine in portrait mode. So I'm going to score at 4 1/4. That's half of the 8.5 inch side. And then I will cut at 5.5 inches. And I will have 2 card bases pre-scored and ready to go. All right, so we only need 1 of these. We're going to go ahead and fold and burnish on that score line. Okay. Then we have a piece of the Penguin Place Designer Series paper that is a celebration free item. If you haven't gotten yours already, you can still get it till the end of September. And you can get that for free. And the other side is so adorable. You hate to cover it up, but we must. So we're going to use a little bit of liquid glue. And you can get this paper free with a $50 order and make that a celebration choice. we'll go ahead and center that up on our card base. Hello, Laura. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Mary. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I appreciate that. That helps us find new friends. All right. So then I have taken the shimmery vellum cardstock. This is in the annual catalog. It comes in all the in colors. You get 2 sheets of each of the 5 in colors. And we are going to use the Hippo Happiness dies to cut into our shimmer paper. And we're also going to use, so you will need to use the second of the swirly frame dies. Oh, sorry, you need the largest of the swirly frame dies. And you're going to cut that in polished pink. Okay, so we're going to have that piece. And then out of the fresh freesia, you're going to cut out of the ornate frames this layer. Okay. And I've already done that. So those are our pieces. And now we're going to do some stamping. And then we'll do just a little bit of die cutting because I wanted to show you how I did my focal image. So we need a scrap piece of basic white cardstock. Okay. And really we just need a piece big enough to cut the second die in the Hippo Happiness. This one. So as long as your paper will cut that out, you have enough. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down because I don't want it to be too big, because I'll just do a little more stamping than I need to, than is necessary. So I'm going to cut a little bit of that off, and we'll be using this to do some other stamping as well. Okay, so let's set that die aside. So we're going to need it in a moment. Let me put these back in their envelopes so they don't fall out and get lost, because that would be a bad thing. Okay, so we are going to take the Misty Moonlight and the polished pink, and we're also going to use some Memento Tuxedo Black. Okay, so let's start with the black, and we're going to take the cupcake stamp. And we're going to stamp that on our paper. And then we're also going to take the heart cookie. And we're going to stamp that down. And it looks like I got a hair on that, so let's do it again. There we go. For a crisp image. We're not going to put that away because we do need to stamp on some of the designer series paper. So we're going to pull out a piece of the fresh freesia background here, and we are going to take our cupcake. Make sure this is in the frame here. Okay. And we're going to stamp our cupcake on there. Okay. trim that off. All right. Now with this piece of basic white, we're going to take our Misty Moonlight and polished pink, and we're going to get our Simply Chamois off to the right side. And we're going to use the Happy Birthday stamp. Oh, I forgot to stamp this piece. We need another piece of basic white for that. I forgot that. Oh, this one says Season's Greetings. What did I do? There, I need this one, this side. All right, so we have the Happy Birthday. I'm going to start with the Misty Moonlight. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper. And I'm going to start stamping the Happy Birthday randomly. Over this paper. Okay, then I'm going to clean that on my chamois, and then I'm going to use the polished pink, and I'm going to fill in these spaces with the polished pink and the Happy Birthday. Just like so. And here I have a little space, so I'm going to go back and add that. Okay, then I'm going to make sure that, check my die and make sure that I have everything where I want it, and I do. Okay, close those up before I have an ink catastrophe. And then I'm going to run this through the Big Boss die cutting machine. Okay? And I'm going to get this. All right. Then we need another scrap piece of basic white. And we're going to take the cake plate. Wait a minute. No, we're not. I don't need that. I don't know what I'm thinking. That's a different project. Okay. Sorry about that. We're going to cut out just the bottom wrapper part of our Designer Series paper cupcake. And this particular stamp set does not have any dies, so you must fussy cut. Or if you have a scan and cut, you could use that. We are just going to quickly cut that out. It's not very difficult. And there we are. Now we have our cupcake wrapper. All right. So we need to do a little bit of coloring. So we're going to take our Stampin' Blends in light and dark fresh freesia, light and dark polished pink, and the dark soft suede. I'm going to start with the dark soft suede, and I'm going to do the cupcake part here in the soft suede. Then I'm going to take my light polished pink and color my frosting. And I like to take and leave just a little bit of white there, like that. Just run it around the top and the bottom of the swirl. And leave a little bit of white in there. And then we're going to take the dark polished pink And I'm going to go along those swirly lines. Okay. Then I don't need to color the bottom part of the cupcake. And then I'm going to color my cookie in the, actually I don't need the fresh freesia at all. I'm going to color in the light polished pink. I want my frosting to be pink, or my cookie to be pink. I'll have my frosting be white. Okay. Then I'm going to go back with my dark polished pink, and I'm just going to dot with my pen standing straight up on the little dots that are in that stamp. Okay? And I colored the wrong one, but it's okay, you get the idea. Then we're going to take Wink of Stella, and we're going to put that on our frosting. And then we're going to hand cut those out. And I actually thought that I had already done that, but I guess I did not. Darn me. Let me do this cookie again so I get the right one. I don't want the smudged one. Hi, Tracy. Hello, Everett. How was your school today? Okay. So we are just fussy cutting our little cookie out. Quickly. And then we'll do our little cupcake. I'm going to leave a little bit of white space around this one. And then we will paper piece in our cupcake wrapper with a little bit of liquid glue. Now this card is Caitlin approved. I actually made this card for her birthday, which was yesterday. And she loved it. So, all right. Now we're going to take our pieces and we're going to start layering. So the first thing I'm going to do is layer my happy birthday layer onto my polished pink with a little bit of Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to do this first so that I know where to put my adhesive on my polished pink so it doesn't show through. So I'm just going to center that up. And then I can go ahead and add this piece to to my card front, like so. And then I'm going to take my Fresh Frieza piece of shimmer cardstock, and I'm going to add my cupcake and my heart to those, but we're going to add a little dimension. So we're going to pop these up, some Stampin' Dimensionals. On our cookie, we're only going to put a, oops, wrong side. I did it to the wrong side. Yep, I want it on the left side of the heart. So upside down, I need to put it on the right. Okay, then we'll add this to our Fresh Frieza piece. Like so. We'll lift off that backing and we'll put a little bit of liquid glue on the other side, and then we'll set that on our cupcake, just like so. And now that we have those pieces, then we can take some adhesive and add that to our card front. Okay. Now we're going to grab some of the in color jewels. The 2021 to 2023 in color jewels. And we're going to put a couple of these on our card front, just to give it an added a little bit of bling. So let's go with the fresh, or the polished pink. Put one up here. Take a little one, and then I'll put another big one right there. Okay, there's our finished card front. Okay, let's put those out of the way. For the inside of our card, I've taken the second largest of the contoured scallop contour dies, this second one right here, and I cut a piece in basic white, and then I've added the heart cookie, and we're gonna take, I've already colored the cupcake, and I'm taking a piece of the in color designer series paper that I stamped and cut, and we're going to add that to the inside of our card, because the party doesn't need to stop when you open the card. So we're just going to make it pretty like that. This sentiment comes from In Your Words. That is a free celebration host set. If you order $300 or you get orders together that total $300, you can get that stamp set for free. And then we're just going to add this to the inside of our card. And there is our finished card. For the envelope, I stamped a cupcake on the front and colored it in with the Fresh Frieza blends. And then I did that same stamping technique on the flap so that we had a matching stationery set. Okay, so that is card number 1 complete. Now, I also did a boy version or a masculine version of this, and this is what it looks like. This is also that Penguin Playmates Designer Series paper that you get for free. And again, I used that, the In Color 2021, 2023 designers, or no, not 2020 to 2022 Designer Series paper for the cupcake wrapper there. And on the inside, instead of the scallop, I used a stitched rectangle. Okay. All right. So 2 cards, 2 birthday cards. Whoops, complete. All right, let's move those out of the way. And we'll start card number 2. It's going to take a little bit. It not only uses the sweets and treats. Oh, thanks, Tracy. Cher, thank you. Cynthia, thank you. So glad you guys like that. Let me see if I missed anything important. Oh, thanks, Mary. All right, so let's get started on the next card. In addition to the Sweets and Treats stamp set for this card, I've already pre-done a lot of it. We're going to use the Merriest Moments bundle, and this includes the Merriest Frames and the Merriest Hybrid embossing folder. So we're going to be using mostly the dies and the hybrid embossing folder. I believe I did use one of the stamps on the inside. Oh, and I used the Season's Greetings for the outside. Okay, so we are going to start this one. This one actually has quite a few things. We're going to start with a card base in Cherry Cobbler, and that's cut at 5.5 by 8.5. We have a piece of the Peaceful Prince Designer Series paper. This is cut at 4 by 5.25. And this too is a celebration free choice with a $50 purchase. And we can go ahead and add that to our card base. And center that up. Okay. And then we can set that aside. You're going to need a piece of the shimmer vellum, the In Color shimmer vellum. And this is a piece of soft succulent. You'll also need a piece of Evening Evergreen cardstock. This one is a quarter of a sheet, so it's 4.25 by 5.5. And then I've already cut for our inside. I've cut one stitched rectangle. This is the second largest stitched rectangle, and this is the one down from that in Evening Evergreen and Basic White. And then you're going to need a piece of Basic White for stamping. Let's go ahead and get our die cutting done. And I'm going to bring the Big Boss up here. Oh, and I forgot, you're going to need a small piece of Sahara sand. And I forgot to grab that, so let's grab that real quick because we have to die cut that as well. And I think that might be white enough. If it's not, I've got another piece here. Okay. So with the Merriest frames, this is a large die set. We are going to cut this stitched rectangle in the Sahara sand. We're going to cut and then emboss this die cut in the soft succulent, and we're going to cut and emboss this piece in the evening evergreen. Okay, and I wanted to show you how these particular dies worked, because they're a little different than most of our dies. So let's go ahead and grab our Big Boss machine. Okay, so we'll get that up here so you can see. And we're going to start with the piece of evening evergreen. And we're going to get the embossing folder. The Merriest Frames Hybrid embossing folder. Okay, let me set this aside for just a minute while I show you how this works. So we're going to take the Merriest Frames, and we are going to take and place our die in the embossing folder. So I'm going to line this up like this with the cutting side toward me. And I'm going to shift this in here until I feel it hitch into place. And it has a lip that it will sit in, so you'll know when you have it right. And I had it in, and then I tipped it and it came out. Okay, come on. Fall in. There we go. Did you hear that click in? Then I'm going to take my piece of cardstock, and I'm going to place that in there, and I'm going to close that up. Then it's going to go into my machine as if it's an embossing folder only. So I'm going to use plate 1. Then I'm going to put my embossing folder with its die and its cardstock. And then I'm going to put in plate 4. And I'm going to run this through, and it's going to cut and die and emboss all at the same time. And this is the piece that I'm left with. Okay. So now I can set my embossing folder aside for a moment. And I'm going to set my die aside. And then I'm going to get my Sahara sand. And I'm going to put my plates down. And I'm going to cut my piece of Sahara sand. And then I'm going to do something a little different than what we would normally do. I'm going to run that back through with the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's a line on the bottom of your embossing folders, and if you just put your die cut in there or your paper in there and sit it on the line, then it will be in there straight. So I'm going to run that through. Oops. Let's try the right sandwich. I need my embossing plate. And then I wanted a little bit more texture, so I'm going to run this through a second time using the Merry Melody 3D embossing folder. Okay, so I am going to put this in, and I'm going to put it to the right side of my embossing folder because I want the staffs, and I'm going to put it right at the bottom, and I'm going to line that up like so, and then I'm going to run it through again. Now, that will take out some of the Tasteful Textile texture, but it still leaves behind enough to give it a little added dimension. All right. So I don't know if you can see that added texture in there. This is actually right side up. So that piece is now ready, and we can set aside that. Now we're going to cut our shimmer vellum, and I'm going to go back to my die cutting sandwich. So I need 1, 2, 3. My die and my shimmer vellum. Thanks, I'm glad you guys like that double embossing. Okay, so we're gonna cut this. I'm gonna run this back through because the shimmer vellum is just a little bit stiffer, and I want to make sure it cuts well. Okay, so I have that. Now I'm going to take my Merriest Frames embossing folder once again. And I'm going to turn it upside down so that I have the Stampin' Up side, and then I'm just going to open it. And then I'm going to place my die cut right on top of that outline, and I'm going to close my folder, and I'm going to run that through. And this is what I'm left with. Gorgeous, huh? Okay, so let's get all of these out of the way. So we're done with all of that. I don't want to squish my embossing, so let me move that. All right. So here's our pieces. All right, so now we need to do a little bit of stamping, and then we can start adding our pieces. Okay, so we are going to need from the Sweets and Treats, we're going to use the figgy pudding, and we also need the cake plate, okay, and the Season's Greetings. So we're going to stamp our figgy pudding in Memento Tuxedo Black. And we're doing that because we're going to color it. Okay. And we're going to take our cake platter, or whatever they call that, and I'm going to stamp that down. And then we're going to stamp in Evening Evergreen these season's greetings. Okay. Okay. Our stamping blends for our figgy pudding. We're going to be using the light and dark cherry cobbler, dark soft succulent, light evening evergreen, light and dark gray granite, light daffodil, dark crumb cake, light Cajun craze, and the dark pale papaya. Okay, so I colored my leaves on my holly. I started with dark soft succulent, and I just went around the edges. Okay. Then I'm going to take the light evening evergreen, and again I'm going to go around the edges and put the line in the center. And then I'm going to go back with the light soft succulent and blend that all together. Like so. The holly berries we're going to do in light cherry cobbler. And while we have the light real red out, oh, actually I want the dark real red. Okay, so let's get the dark real red. We're going to put dots on our holly berries there, and then we're going to color these pieces that are all the same shape in the dark cherry cobbler. All right. Then we're going to take some light Daffodil Delight and color these. And we're going to take some light Cajun Craze, and we're going to color our little pieces here. And then the last, these are going to be pale papaya, and then dark crumb cake for what I think should be the almonds. Okay. And then I think I grabbed one. I need the dark. What did I do with my soft suede? I think I put it in a different. I need the light soft suede again. Okay. So I wanted my cake to look rather dark. So I'm going in and I'm going to color with the dark crumb cake. I actually Googled what a figgy pudding looks like. And it looked to be pretty dark. So we're going to color this in the dark crumb cake. I don't have any idea what figgy pudding tastes like, but it does take 3 months to make, much like a fruit cake. It sounded like that it has some alcohol in it, and then it's served with a hard sauce, which also has alcohol in it. Okay, so now to get this to be darker, we're going to go in with the light soft suede and we're going to color over the top of what we just did in the dark crumb cake. And that's going to give us a little bit darker hue. And you could use the dark soft suede, which would give you an even darker hue. Okay, so there is our figgy pudding. We're going to go back on these lines on the frosting. And we're just going to take a little light gray granite where the artist put the shadow lines. Okay? Then for our cake platter, we're going to color this in the light gray granite. Okay, go back with the dark gray granite and add in some shading. Where the artist put those lines. And a little bit under where this would be shaded. And then we'll go back and blend those in. Take out those harsh lines. I think I need new gray granite. Okay, and then I wanted that to appear more like it was silver. So I'm going to take some Wink of Stella and I'm going to put it over the top of that while it's still wet. That will drag some of that color as well. Okay, I'm going to wipe that off, and I put a little bit of Wink of Stella on my frosting so that it would appear shiny. All right. Now, for the inside of our card, I also stamped 2 of the holly tops. Like so. Uncolored them just like I did the others. But you don't need to watch me do that again. And I already have these pieces cut. Okay. And I hand cut out Season's Greetings, and I could not decide, so you guys are going to make a decision. We have Season's Greeting in the Evening Evergreen, We also have the season's greetings in the cherry cobbler. And then I have my 2 holly berries for the inside. Okay. So before we put everything together, let's go ahead and stamp our greeting on our inside piece here. And we're going to take from the Merriest frames, Together is the Merriest Place to Be. And we're going to stamp that in the Evening Evergreen. All right. So now we should have all of our pieces. Let's go ahead and start with the inside. Going to attach this like so. And then we're going to take the 2 sets of holly berries. I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue. And I need my tweezers. And we're going to put one up here. And we're going to put the other one right there. Okay, and then we can add that to the inside of our card. A little bit of Stampin' Seal. It is really nice, isn't it? No, Midnight did not scratch my finger, Tracy. I have no idea how I did that. I went to pick up Caitlin from school yesterday and head for ballet, and my finger started stinging, and when I looked down, I realized that somehow I had injured my finger. I don't know what I did. I know it stung like crazy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set that down. Now we can start putting these pieces together. So the first thing we're going to do is put our Sahara sand, making sure that we have our music right side up. And by the time you run this through twice, this is actually a pretty soft piece of cardstock. So I'm going to put that down. And that tells us where we can put our adhesive on the back of this piece of vellum. And then we're going to add this piece over the top. Now you are going to cover up what we already embossed, but because I'm leaving the sides free, you will be able to see that embossing. And it also helps you line these up just so. Okay, so now we have that. I'm very gently pressing because I don't want to press out my embossing. Okay, and this is now ready to add to our card. And we're going to do that with liquid glue because we embossed and I want it to give it some good contact. I want the glue to fill in those nooks and crannies. This piece barely fits on your card front. So You want to be careful, make sure that you're not going off your card so it will still go in your envelope. And then we'll just put that down and give it a press. Okay, making sure again that we have our music right side up. And then, oh, maybe I didn't cut out my stand. Shame on me. Let's get that cut real quick. I thought I had all these pieces stamped, colored, and cut. Okay, I'm going to cut this real close to the top. I barely want any white here because I want my figgy pudding to appear as if it's sitting on the plate. And again, there are no dies, so we do have to fussy cut. But these all are pretty easy. To cut. Notice how I turn the paper with my finger, or with my left hand, and just move the scissors with my right. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Now we're going to pop this up on dimensionals. There, it's the other ones. Okay. Oh, so I'm going to take and put dimensional here. And then I'm going to take a couple of mini dimensionals, put them here. And I have some short little pieces that I cut for another project, and they actually work perfect on my cake platter. Here. All right, so we need to place the cake platter down first so we know where to put our figgy pudding. I'm going to put this here. Okay, I'm going to go just like this. And then we'll take our figgy pudding and we're going to pop that up. And use our minis on our holly. Take those backing papers off. And then I'm going to set my figgy pudding right on the edge of my cake platter, like so. Okay, so for the season's greetings, here's where you need to make a choice. Cherry cobbler or the evening evergreen. Let me know what you think. Okay, I've got 1 for cherry cobbler, 2 for cherry cobbler, 3 for cherry cobbler. Okay, cherry cobbler it is. And we are just going to go ahead and put this on with liquid glue. So I'm just going to run a little bead right through the middle because all of it isn't going to go across our cake plate. So we're just going to set that down like so. And there we have it. I'm not going to add, there's enough dimension and sparkle and shimmer going in here that I don't think we need any additional embellishments. So this is our card. And where did I put, I thought I, and here is our envelope. These holly and berries are from that Merriest frames, and I stamped those in cherry cobbler and soft succulent. Okay, so there is our matching card. All right, well, that puts us right at an hour, so I will let you all go, and I will try to pop on again later in the week to do that 3D project, and it will be another quick one like we did last week. And I'm gonna plan, I'm not gonna promise, but I think Thursday night would probably be the night. And if I'm gonna do it on Thursday night, I'll do it again at 7:45. So let me pull in those other cards that we made so you can see them all with the sweets and treats. Thanks everybody for joining me. I appreciate that. And hopefully I will see you back here soon. Thank you everybody. Good night.